Kids Corner, and we're going to be learning all sorts of wonderful things at the Reptile Fest. It's a show you do not want to miss, so don't go away.
I'm here with Logan, and he's going to tell a story about Shirley.
Okay, she was like a rescue kind of. A different iguana like kind of attacked her. You can see scars right there, and right there, her eye was like almost out. It was like almost falling out. So the second the owner I don't know where she is right now, but the second she saw her, she was like, oh, "Can I have him?" And she took her to the vet, and she made her and she became so much better, and now like many people can hold her, touch her. So she's so much better.
Well, that's good.
Logan, how often does she shed her skin?
The more she eats, the more she sheds.
Really? Wow. And what kind of food does she eat?
She'll eat all kinds of stuff. She'll eat bugs, she'll eat plants. She'll eat pretty much anything she can get in her mouth besides like snakes and stuff. Not like she wouldn't eat a frog. She wouldn't do that.
Yeah, I know. Frogs are too big.
Not all frogs are too big, but she just doesn't like them. She won't eat them. She'll eat mealworms. She'll eat those. So yeah, she's kind of a big variety of an eater.
Now you heard it from Logan.
I'm going to ask a couple questions about the axolotl.
Hi, Timmy. I'm Kat.
Where did these axolotls come from?
They're originally from Mexico. They're bred here in the United States in captivity.
What kind of food do they eat?
They're carnivores, which they eat meat. They'll have crickets, bugs. They even will eat their own anything that'll fit in their mouth. That like another salamander, fish. But mostly I feed them crickets. But they would eat like a fish pellet if you put them in there.
Really?
Dry.
How many eggs can they lay?
They lay hundreds at a time, and they're what they call larvae because they're from the salamander family. So they lay it in larvae, and there are hundreds of them at a time.
How long could they live for?
In captivity, we've known them to live around 10 to 15 years.
Thanks for talking to me about the axolotl.
Thanks, Timmy. I enjoyed it.
What kind of baby crocodile do you have?
Actually, this is an American alligator, Mr. Tony. This is a juvenile. He's only about 3 years old. He'll live to be just as long as we will. He'll live 50 to 75 years or more. Except in that time, he's going to get to be 12 to 16 feet long and upwards of 1,000 pounds.
Wow, that's a lot.
Oh yeah, these guys get big. They live a long, long time. Now the way we can tell the difference is when we look at the alligator's face. We say A is for apple and A is for alligator. The alligator's face is rounded like an apple. Now if you look in the oval over there, there's a Nile crocodile. C is for carrot and C is for crocodile. The crocodile has a long and skinny snout. Something you'll never forget. It's nice and easy.
Thanks, Dan, for giving us nice information about the alligator.
Anytime.
Look at this unique turtle. It's a mata mata.
I am standing here with John Palis, and he's going to tell me some more about these reptiles at the Reptile Fest. How long does a tadpole turn into a bullfrog? What's the time process it usually takes?
Yeah, well, that's going to depend a lot on the number one, the species of frog, and water temperature, because they're cold-blooded animals, we call them. So their metabolism will rise when the water temperature rises and slow down when the water temperature is colder. So what we have over here, yesterday, as a matter of fact, these were eggs. Well, 2 days ago, these were eggs, and they started developing into little embryos, and now they're hatching out. Those are southern leopard frogs, and those tadpoles, they'll be in the tadpole stage usually 2 to 3 months, and they metamorphose into little frogs. Now the bullfrogs are different. They have a much longer larval period. So in the southern part of the country, that's usually about a year. But further north from here, where the water's colder, it usually takes them about 2 years. So they have a long larval period.
Do you recommend kids taking the tadpoles and watching them transform, or you recommend them, not messing with nature, or what do you recommend?
Well, I think it's a fascinating process to watch. I have no problem with some taking a few home, and watching that process, and then taking them back to where you found them and releasing them after they've transformed. The little guys, they're so small, kind of hard to get food for them, so it's always best, I think, to put them back.
What do you recommend that they feed to them so that they can survive and return them to the wild?
Okay, well, with the tadpole, they'll often eat things like algae. You could get that from the pond, say you got the tadpole. Nowadays, there's a lot of things you can buy in pet shops. For example, they have little algae tabs, that's specifically for tadpoles. I've used boiled lettuce, that sort of thing. They'll enjoy that. Or a little bit of spinach, but not a whole lot of spinach, but lettuce is good. That sort of thing. And then when they transform into a frog, they're a predator. So you have to have live, small things for them to feed on.
Thank you so much for sharing about it, and hopefully kids will be responsible, because they are, animals and little creatures, and we want to be respectful to nature.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're so welcome.
Now this is a picture you don't see every single day, okay? When you guys come over here, I'd like to ask you a couple of questions. All right, what snakes do I have here? Okay, what's the one that's on top of me
This
here?
one on your neck is a albino Burmese python, and she's about 50 pounds. And this one right on your lap here is a blood python, and I think he's about 30 to 40 pounds. So they're both pretty big, they're both really calm, and they're both friendly with kids. These guys actually do professional photo shoots with like models and stuff. It's really fun working with them, and they just adore children too, so it's really cool.
So obviously a lot of people are afraid of snakes, and this kind of is a way to alleviate that fear, because obviously there's some snakes that are very aggressive, but these are very calm, and you wouldn't having us be taking pictures with them. But how long and how heavy can they get?
Oh goodness, they can get up to maybe about 20 feet long, and some get up to 140 pounds. Like this guy, if it was a male, he could be up to 140 pounds and about 20 feet long. And this one might just be a little bit longer and gain maybe about 10, 20 more pounds. So this one's probably almost about full size actually. So they all get pretty big and they're pretty heavy. So, but again, these guys aren't in the wild, so they're bred with people, so they know the difference between us and food, so there's no real danger.
Where does the lizards come from?
The desert. Yeah.
Where are they located, and what kind of desert?
Well, they can be found in a lot of different deserts, like in the Western Hemisphere, I would say. So in Africa and Australia.
How long could they live for?
I'm not really long time. So I'd say about 100 years, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, like turtles.
But they can last a long time, though. What kind of food do they eat? Mealworms, waxworms, let's just say crickets. They don't eat all bugs. Sometimes they eat melons, they eat chopped carrots, they eat broccoli, they eat bananas, and they also eat,
They have a healthy diet.
yeah, they eat fruits and vegetables. That's basically it. Are they good pets?
Yeah, they're expensive, but if you get one, they're very docile and they're just, as they get older, they're lazy, so they're really easy to handle.
Yeah, like this one. This one's super lazy. As you can see, he's chill.
Like the big ones, like this one.
How big are they?
Well, I'm not quite sure. I'll test out the albino. I'm guessing around like, I think this one's like 4 feet. A little less than 4 feet.
How big is this one?
This one I don't, it's gonna be harder because he's tangled around me more, and now the albino just got tangled in him too, so.
How old are they?
Well, we don't really know since they were rescues.
They're big.
Yeah, they're pretty much they're fully grown, but snakes keep growing throughout their whole life, so they're probably gonna get at least a little bit bigger.
Now you heard it from Logan about the snakes.
Look at the turtle eating. Look at all these different kind of turtles they got. They got the Indian, the Greek, the leopard, and the marginated. Look at the cans of food. The tortoises are a bunch of hogs.
Sarah, what kind of turtle is this?
This is a sulcata. He's a tortoise from sub-Saharan Africa.
How big do they usually get?
Usually this size is about average. He's about 140 pounds, but some can reach 220.
That's a lot.
Yes, it is. That's very, very big.
How much do they usually eat?
Well, they're like a little cow with a shell. They spend most of their day wandering around and eating. So that's a lot, but it's really not as much as you'd think for an animal this size at this age. They can eat a lot, but they don't eat nearly as much as like a real cow would.
Thank you for telling me about this turtle.
No problem.
I am sitting here with Jason, who is the president of Chicago Herpetological Society. And Jason, I would like you to tell us a little bit more about the society. How many years has it been going on? And, just inform us what you guys are doing here.
Society's been around since the 1960s. I think 1963 they incorporated. But this event here is for us to educate the public. Our main goal is to try to catch the kids between like 3 and 10, because that's when you make a lot of kind of decisions in your life about whether or not you like reptiles. And we hope to get them in the right direction, that they're thinking positively about the animals and not in a negative manner. And it's a great opportunity for them. And through the kids, the parents actually come around. A lot of the parents come in and they won't touch the animals. The kids are a little more open to it. And the parents will turn around and they'll actually touch a snake what turns out to be for the first time. So it's a great opportunity, and it's really the kids that we're aiming for, because that's who's open. We get to show that these animals aren't dangerous, and that we've got small boas that are here and small pythons that their adult size is 3 feet long, and people are amazed that there's not every boa or python is a giant animal, which is another misnomer people have.
I kind of was afraid of snakes at first, too. When I heard of snakes, I was, it's a girl. I think, well, there's a lot of girls here, but for me, I was kind of a little bit, afraid of snakes. And coming to the society has actually helped me to overcome my fears. They're animals, and they are, just need to be taken care of like we need to be taken care of. And I think it's great because you also rescue a lot of these reptiles from harmful environments and you bring them into a safe environment. And that also teaches us about, how we can work together to try to help, the reptiles and amphibians in our culture, to not be afraid of them, but to try to rescue them and try to help them.
Today we've got 4 different conservation groups that we're supporting through water sales that Pepsi Cola donated to us. And with that, we're probably going to match whatever funds we take in from that and send it out to the 4 different groups. 3 of them are critically endangered animals, and one of them is the eastern diamondback rattlesnake, which is going to be coming up more than likely pretty soon as a federally listed endangered species. And we're trying to help get these conservation groups the money they need to operate. So that's a part of what's going on here, and people don't even realize they're participating in conservation by just attending the show. So it's a great opportunity for us to get the word out and educate people on one level, and then a totally different level that they're not even aware of. We're actually sending money out to the professionals in the field that are doing really great work. One of the species we're supporting this today is in the Chilean Amphibian Conservation Corps, I believe it's a big acronym, but they are one of the species they're working with is one of the 5 most endangered species on the planet, or one of the 5 most endangered amphibians on the planet. But all amphibians are just really critically endangered worldwide. So it's great that we can send them a little bit of money, and it's going down to Chile where it's going to go a lot further than it would say here in the U.S. So there's a lot of great things going on here, a lot of different dynamics that are happening, and we're also giving other not-for-profits an opportunity to promote themselves and get their name out there. So all in all, the show's great, and all this happens while people are having fun, and they don't realize they're doing all this great work for us. So it's a great weekend for us. We have over 250 different species on exhibit today. You can't get that number of species of reptiles and amphibians in one building unless you get to some of the very biggest zoos in the country. So it's a really great opportunity for them, even though sometimes they're not aware of it. It's another snake, it's another snake. They're not sure they're looking at 1 species or 6 species, but they have a good time. But people have a little bit more knowledge, get really excited. The reptile people that show up here have an amazing time because there's so many different species here that you never get a chance to see unless you get to really, you'd have to go to probably 10 different zoos to see what's on display here, because there's not any one zoo that has all these different species on display anywhere in the country. So it's a great opportunity for all levels of people of interest or no interest at all.
Well, thank you so much. You sure encouraged me and educated me, and I'm more informed, and thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well, I am here with Quinn, and he's going to tell me more about the reptile that Tony and Timmy are holding and looking at. Quinn, tell me about this lovely reptile here.
It's called a bearded dragon lizard. Nice, it's a really good one.
Now, bearded dragon lizards, is it true that they sometimes lose their tails?
Yes, but they grow it back, excuse me. They don't grow it back to make it exactly the same shape and everything, but it doesn't matter, they have a tail.
Obviously, they make good pets, but you have to be careful because they have those little pointy kind of ridges on them. But they do shed their skin. And how big can he get?
That's his max size. They start out really small, probably about 6 inches, and as you see, they grow really big.
Their nails grow often. Do you have to cut their nails, or do you usually kind of let them grow long?
I let them grow long, then I cut them. It's, I don't want them to grow too long, or else people like this at the Reptile Fest will be hurt by their nails.
Do they make good pets? Do you have to spend a lot of time with them? I know a lot of people keep them in cages, but they also do need some care because they get dry. Do you have to moisten this?
Yes. From being bathed, from giving baths, to cutting nails, to cleaning out the vivarium, I always say it's worth it. They make really nice pets. I love them.
Well, thank you so much, Quinn. We appreciate it, and I think Timmy and Tony enjoy it as well. Thank you. I am standing here with Deb Crone, who is also known as the Frog Lady here at the Reptile Fest. And I have bumped into you so many times before, but for those watching who get to see you for the very first time, tell us about why you're here and about your collection of frogs and toads and other amphibians.
You got it. So I am here because I love reptiles and amphibians. I'm a member of the Chicago Herp Society. I've been here forever. I've been here for years and years and years. I've set up a booth every year. Every year it gets bigger. But my job is, as a naturalist, I teach people about nature. And, of course, my favorite are reptiles and amphibians. So majority of the programs I do are reptiles and amphibians.
You know, what got you started? Do you have like a pond or a lake or something nearby?
That is such a good question, and I honestly don't know. I just started liking frogs, and I don't remember the moment when it happened. I think I really got into it in college was when I really started loving them, and I started collecting like figurines and stuff. And then once I joined the Herp Club, you know, you just get even more into it because you find all these people that are into it as well, and your hobby just grows and grows and grows. And then I started keeping the captive frogs and love them, love every minute of it.
So, are these yours here too?
They are, yes, they are. These are my tortoises. All of them are adopted or rescued. All four of these are totally different species. So Daisy over on the end there, she is a desert tortoise. They come from southwest United States. She's pretty much at the maximum length. So we're talking about a tortoise that is probably very old. She was found wandering a suburb up here in northern Chicago, northern suburb, and was probably escaped tortoise. It was probably someone's pet, and I also keep my tortoises out in the summer. They can't escape if you don't watch them. So that's probably what happened with her. Diesel here, who's kind of being a brat. Diesel is a sulcata tortoise. He is only 7. He was bought at a pet store when he's just a tiny little thing. And by the time they're 7 years old, this is how big they get. And actually, I don't know if you've seen the big one over here at Reptile Fest, but that one's only, I think, 26, 28, and he's 150 pounds. This one's 22 pounds, so they get very, very, very large. Diesel is basically a cast-off pet. They didn't want him anymore, so that's why I took him in. They did take excellent care of him. He looks great, so they did a good job, but they were ready to pass him on. He's going to outlive me. He's going to outlive my kids. He's going to outlive my grandkids. He's going to outlive my great-grandkids. So it's a big, big commitment to take any tortoise in. We've got Tilly here. Tilly is a female leopard tortoise. She comes from Africa. The sulcatas come from Africa as well. A sub-Saharan desert. And she is probably about 6 or 7 herself. She is nowhere near full grown. They get to be about 60 pounds when they're full grown. So he's the 3rd largest tortoise. This is the 4th largest tortoise in the wild. And this is a marginated tortoise. This is Zeke. Zeke is a very large marginated. He is probably also, you know, we don't know for sure. Minimum 30 years old. He could be 100. You never know. So, but he's a fantastic tortoise as well. These come from Greece, and he was probably wild caught at some point because he is so beautiful. There's no pyramiding, which is a common captive baby kind of thing. So, yeah, so he's one of my favorites. He's not going to get too much bigger, and he's a gentle giant, I like to call him.
You know, I have another question. I don't know if this, I'm sure it can happen. What would happen if a shell of a tortoise would be cracked? Say something fell on it or he was injured or something. Can they live?
I'll show you a turtle that actually had that happen. Do you want me to grab him?
Yeah, sure.
So this is Dirk. Dirk's a box turtle, and he actually is about minimum 63 years old, but he's probably closer to 70 or 80. The older a turtle gets, the smarter they get. Just like people, we learn things. We have a lot of experiences, and we lock that in. He learned that when he climbed up this fence, he could get out. He can climb these vertical bars. He got out, toppled out one day, and he cracked his shell right here. Okay, there was a crack right in this part, and the rest of it was still there. But what happened was I took him to the vet. He got antibiotics, and then he got a cream that rubbed on it. But eventually that other part did fall off, and he's totally healed. But that's what happens. Turtles are extremely tough animals. I mean, they're just survivors. I've seen turtles in the wild with crushed shells and it's healed on their own. I've seen turtles without legs. I mean, amazing, and they heal on their own. Also, Dirk Shell has this scar. Back in the 50s when he was found in a suburb, he already had that and it was already healed. The vets that have looked at this both think it looks like a fire scar. But again, totally survived it. Whatever that was, he did survive it, and he's fine. So I guess my answer, back to the original answer, is what happens if their shell's injured? If it's not, a life-threatening injury like being smushed by a car, it's going to be okay. They're going to heal themselves.
I've really been informed here, and I know they've been informed, and it's really interesting and exciting to be here. And thank you so much for being at the Chicago Herpetological Society. I got to keep saying that 100 times over.
It's a hard one. Thank you so much for talking with me.
Thank you so much.
How old can these things be, the lizards be?
These are Argentine tegus. They can actually live up to 20 years plus with the proper diet.
Really? How much do they eat?
Eating kind of depends on the animal. Sometimes they'll actually eat quite a bit. Other times it's normally about 6 to 8 ounces. And it's basically for an adult like this, it's every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday is what he feeds.
Where do they come from?
They actually come from East and Central South America.
So tell me about the snake you got here.
It's a granite Burmese python. He's about 5 years old, weighs about 45 pounds.
And people see the snake wrapped around your neck. Obviously, it's safe, otherwise you wouldn't be doing it, correct?
Yeah, they're safe. I mean, it's a pet. It's just like a dog or a cat. They've got their temperament, and people know when they're not happy. I mean, you can tell. There's certain ways they tell you.
Now, is this the biggest that the snake will get, or can it get bigger?
He's can get at least 3 to 5 feet bigger. My biggest one right now is just about 15 feet long.
What do snakes really eat?
Smaller snakes will eat mice or rats. Bigger snakes eat rabbits, guinea pigs, pigs.
Do they eat them live or do they eat them? I know they sell them frozen. What do they usually prefer?
Frozen. I always buy all mine frozen thawed, and then I feed them frozen because it's a lot safer for the animal.
Do you get them? Well, obviously you get them out a lot, but can they stay in a cage for a long period of time or not really? They kind of like their freedom, correct?
Well, if you leave them in a cage for too long, they get used to it and then they protect it. So the more you handle them, the better pet they can be.
All right, well, kids are enjoying them, and he wouldn't be out here if he wasn't safe. And I used to have I told people before I used to have fears of snakes, but I'm learning that they're okay. I don't know that I would have them as a pet, but I'm very educated about them now, and it kind of gets over our phobias and our fears. So thank you so much.
Not a problem, guys.
Look at this iguana. It dresses better than my dad.
We had a great time at the Reptile Fest. It's always a pleasure to come here and learn more and more information about the reptiles. We'll see you again real soon. Bye-bye.